Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. 2023 apparently is about me sitting down and talking about all the things I've been saying I was going to talk about and haven't done yet. It's very cold in my house, so I'm wrapped around in a blanket, so bear with me. Today we're going to be talking about my nose surgery that I did almost 7 months ago now. There were a lot of questions that I said I would dive deeper into, and I haven't yet, so I'm going to do a deep dive into all the questions that I've had over the last 6 to 7 months and give you a little update. Do I regret it? Do I not? What's the good? What's the bad? Do I recommend it? We're gonna talk about all of that. First things first, why I did it. So I have had a deviated septum in my left nostril. Well, honestly in both, but this one was the worst. My entire life. I always had a deviated septum. I always was stuffy. Like my mom would always say that I had I spoke nasally because I was always just stuffed. Otherwise, I could breathe fine. I didn't have any sleeping problems. I know a lot of people with a deviated septum have a lot of issues related to it. Besides being nasally, I really didn't have anything else. So there really were no big issues with my deviated septum, but it was definitely my excuse into looking to get a cosmetic rhinoplasty. Now everybody always jokes growing up that they want a nose job, or they're serious growing up that they want a nose job. And growing up, I was definitely one of those people. I always had a bigger nose. I have my dad's nose, love my dad. I don't mind his nose on his face, but I didn't necessarily want my dad's nose on my face. Growing up, always knew that. Kids in school would definitely remind me hardcore that I had a bigger nose than everybody else. And it was hooked and shaped and whatever. Not a big deal. Palestinian, we all have big noses. But that being said, we don't all have a big nose. I had a big nose. Not every Palestinian in the world does. But mine was very, very descriptive of where I was from. Definitely nothing wrong with it. I would grow up with, everybody saying, oh, I don't like my nose, I don't like my nose. Cousins saying well, we all have a big nose, but me compared to all of them, mine was still bigger than everybody else's and more prominent than everybody else's. Everybody always told me oh, but it fits your face, it fits your face. I always disagreed. I was I don't feel like it fits my face. I still look back at photos and I think even at my most confident with it, I don't really think it fit my face. I think it overwhelmed my face, but I don't think it fit my face. So I always kind of disagreed with that sentiment, even at my best, with not really caring about it more towards me choosing to get the rhinoplasty. I don't feel like I hated my nose. I was kind of this is my opportunity to do it once and for all, but I wasn't in a place of doing it out of hate at that point anymore. So that's why I did it. I don't know if that's in depth enough, but that's why I did it. I had a deviated septum, and yeah, the cosmetic part was definitely not, I was not opposed to fixing it. I did want to first go to the doctor, see what they had to say about if my deviated septum was even medically necessary to fix it all. That will go right into how I chose my doctor. At the very beginning, I was sneakily doing some research before I really talked to anybody about doing it on nose jobs around me, doctors around me that do this, and XYZ. And there's obviously a lot. We live in Northern Virginia. There was quite a few doctors in the DC area, and there was a lot, but they were also kind of expensive. And I wanted to see what would be covered in insurance as well. So I didn't want to go just for the cosmetic part alone and pay $10,000 for that alone, or 20 really. I really wanted to go in network. So that's when I started talking about it more to my mom, more to David. Me and David weren't engaged yet, but we're going to be engaged very, very soon after. So the month that I got my nose job, he proposed that month. I just started talking to them about it more. David actually did the septoplasty surgery when he was in college, before I ever knew him, but I just ended up going with his doctor. I get really overwhelmed when I'm researching something and there's 1,000 different options. I just do not like option overwhelm. I'd much rather somebody tell me what to do or where to go and just do it. So when he said, this is a doctor I used, I really liked him, and I looked on Google and he had 5 stars, I was okay, I'm done searching. He was 5 minutes away from my house at the big building where my doctor's office is. He was there. So I was yeah, I'm definitely going here. Easy easy decision. In network, everything was easy. So I went to him first for just to talk about, and when I went in, the only thing I mentioned was my deviated septum. I did not mention anything cosmetic. I just wanted to see what would be covered by insurance. So he said like, yeah, my deviated septum was like 90% deviated. He doesn't know how I can breathe. He doesn't know how I can sleep. I can definitely do the surgery. I don't know if he was telling the truth or lying, because I could sleep just fine and I could breathe just fine. I was like, okay, cool, like then let's do it. It would be mostly covered by insurance. And then he said, what about the cosmetic aspect? Like I can change a couple of things and I think it would help your healing if I did. How do you feel about that? And at this point I hadn't mentioned anything cosmetic. We were talking about it. I was like, oh, I'm not sure. I don't want to like lose who I am or whatever. He kind of like, I didn't say much. He kind of like prompted all of that. And I just agreed along the way. And I was like, I mean, obviously I always thought my nose was kind of big. You know, if you can fix it a little, go for it or whatever. And then we started talking more in detail and in depth. And everyone's like, oh, did you get to pick your nose? No, I didn't. But he just talked to me about what he would do. My nose was like a hook. So he would like lift the hook up basically and then flatten this out a little bit. I didn't really care at all what he did. I just wanted professional opinion on what to do and somebody to do it for me. Again, making decisions like not my thing. Just if you are the expert, I want you to be an expert and do what's best. He said he was not going to make it small, and this is something that I almost wish that I did talk a little bit more to him about instead of just letting him rule it, whatever, because he said he doesn't want me to like lose my culture or lose where I'm from or whatever on my face, and I agree with that and I appreciate that. And he said he doesn't want it to look like I got a nose job, and I appreciate that. He did say like some people will be like, did she get her hair cut? Like they wouldn't even notice it was my nose. And that is true. That happened all the time. People would look at me and they'd be like, she looks a little different, or she looks the same, and no one would even notice sometimes. So it was that subtle. But I mean, I noticed, and that's all that matters. But okay, so I'm gonna come closer. You'll see that it's like it's not necessarily small. If I turn the profile, it's not small, which is fine. I don't think I need it to be tiny, but it's definitely prominent. It is there. Sometimes I wish I just like was a little bit more picky about the size, but the shape is fine. It's very normal. It's very average. This I have to massage out sometimes so that it isn't so puffy, because it can get puffy. It like gets inflamed still, like even 7 months later. With 2 knuckles, kind of massage that out. So down my nose and down, and I put a lot of pressure there and I massage that out because it does get inflamed. But otherwise, that's my nose. This part's still pretty tender, even like, how many months again? 7 months later. Pretty tender. So that's how we chose what the nose would look like. He really dictated that. He really said, I'm gonna take the reins from here. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. And he did. He took care of it. I wasn't worried about it. It healed up pretty okay for the most part. What was the whole procedure and process like? Step 1 was just going in for a consultation and really letting my deviated septum and the medical part dictate what I needed, right? So it was medical first, cosmetics second. And then we scheduled it. So I went in for my consultation, thought about it for a while. We scheduled the surgery, talked to my mom, talked to David about it just to be sure. I really felt like I had nothing to lose, and it was now while I was in network on my mom's insurance before I turned 26, or never really. I mean, I could have, I don't know, not really never, but I wanted to do it when I was young, before I got married. So that, I mean, David didn't care if I did it or not, but for like me and my sanity and to enjoy my engagement photos, my wedding photos, and the rest of my life, really. I was like, if I'm gonna do it, let me do it now. I went in for the procedure with my mom. They called me beforehand just to like give me the rundown, pre-procedure call. We went in, I went in really early with my mom. The procedure that's when it got really real. It was really expensive, I think more expensive than I thought it would be. So insurance covered the most of the septoplasty part, so the medical part. But the cosmetic part, it was like an extra $5,000. I had to pay for the anesthesia. I don't have to pay for the anesthesia from the medical part, but from whatever the amount of time is used for the cosmetic surgery, you have to pay for that anesthesia. So I had to pay for that, which is expensive. There was like extra fees for the surgery room or whatever. There was like fees everywhere. So I felt like it was really expensive when I got in that day, and we were like paying $5,000. I was like, whoa, that's a lot. So insurance covered some, we paid for some. I say we because there was help all around, which was very kind. Then after we paid and I went into like the surgery room, that's when it started to feel really real, and I got a little scared, but I was still excited. Like, I wasn't really worried because I hadn't read anything that bad about it. Everybody was pretty positive about their experiences with no surgery, so I wasn't that worried. Everybody was kind of up and running within a week. Doctor told me I'd be up and running within a week or less. He told me I could be working in a couple of days, so I wasn't worried when I went into it. They put me to sleep. I fell right asleep. Woke up. It took a really, really long time. Like, even my mom said it took much, much longer than she expected. She was gone all day, basically waiting for me to come back. I woke up immediately nauseous, vomiting blood. It was really, really bad. I could not walk. I could barely talk. So they put me straight into a little wheelchair because I couldn't walk. I was vomiting all the way down from the room all the way down to my mom's car. Got into my mom's car, continued vomiting, got home, continued vomiting. Couldn't keep my eyes open, and when my eyes were open I was vomiting. When my eyes were closed I was sleeping. My mom like forced me to eat like a little bit of a banana so that I could take some medicine, so I did that, vomited all that up. Like, it was like that the whole first day, and then that entire night I just slept. Next morning I woke up, my mom fed me every single morning for like 5 days. I was so tired. I was so nauseous. I had no energy. My face was very, very bruised. Almost like I couldn't feel pain because all I could feel was being tired and being nauseous and not feeling like myself. So I almost couldn't feel the pain of my nose. It was like I had to blow my nose, but it wasn't even that bothersome because I was just so out of it. I've never slept so much in my life. The first couple of days, I would make my mom call the doctor's office and ask them if I could come back. I really felt like I was way too sick to come home, like I shouldn't be home, like something was wrong, something was off, because nobody told me I would feel this way. I think I just, now looking back, I think I reacted really badly to the anesthesia. I've never been under for that long. I don't know, I think it was that. Also, I've never had that like much trauma to my body. I broke a bone in my foot once, but it was never that dramatic. So I think it was just a huge overall big shock to my body. They did say they had to completely break the bone in on the left side of my nose. There was a lot of healing to be done. My body was going through it. So anyway, the doctor's office, the hospital, they told me I could not come back, or the surgery center, the doctor's office and the surgery center said I couldn't come back and to wait till my follow-up appointment, and that it was normal and that I was fine, even though I didn't feel normal and I didn't feel fine, but obviously they were right because I'm fine. Anyways, they have these massive like stencil casts in your nose. So he pulled those out and that felt a little better, but honestly, nothing really brought me a ton of relief. And I had this cast on my nose, and even after we took the cast off, like a couple weeks later, we still taped it every single day for a couple more weeks. And then after that, I taped it every single day at night for a few more weeks. Really, they say you're up and running in a week, but that's not true because you have a cast on your nose. So you're not up and running in a week. You can't go to work. I can't go to work because I show up on camera every day. So I couldn't just hop back to work. I do feel like it is harder than they say it is, but that was my personal experience. Some people say it's not. So another side effect of the surgery, besides the bruising and the swelling, all that crazy things, I also think I got really bad heartburn after it, but that's besides the point. Another side effect of it is my skin got very scaly. So like my nose, I could literally like peel off layers and layers of skin. I started breaking out a lot. So the last, I would say the 4 months after my surgery, maybe 4 to 6 months after my surgery, it just started getting better. My skin reacted really, really, really poorly. Just, yeah, breakouts more than I've ever had them, scaly nose more than I've ever had it, all sorts of weird things, which they say is normal. All right, so that's a little bit of what it was like at the time. Today, I'm at a place where I really like the way my nose looks. I feel like it fits me a lot better than my other nose. You will notice, like, if I stand back here, it's not perfect. Let me try to show you. I have the selfie camera on, but normally if I have it flipped the other way, you'll see where it's more crooked. But like, it's not perfectly straight. This is healing differently. My left nostril, see how it's much smaller than my right? It's because this side of my nose is much more clogged than my right. I still cannot breathe. Like, I breathe worse than I breathed before I got the surgery. People say this gets better over time. I'm crossing my fingers. They say it gets like 100% better a year later. So I have about 5 months for it to like fully keep getting there. But yeah, it's not great, you know? We'll let it slowly continue to heal, and in 5 to 6 months, I'll just cross my fingers that I can breathe again and that these nostrils even out. I kind of like that I still have a big nose. I'm Palestinian. You know what I mean? As long as it's shaped a little better, I don't mind. The reason I actually like that it's not perfect, some people will probably be like, no, I paid for this, like it better be perfect. The reason I kind of like it is because I don't want people to think that the grass is always greener on the other side, or that you get perfect after you get surgery or anything like that. It's not. It's a really, really brutal experience. It was for me, and I'm still not perfect. I personally don't mind. Like, I feel like it's better, but yeah, if your nose isn't that bad, don't do it. Like, if you can grow to love your face, grow to love your face, because I still can't breathe. Other than that though, overall a positive experience. A couple months ago, I would probably say I wouldn't do it again, but after going through being on camera a lot, getting engagement photos, really loving them, I feel like, okay, like maybe it was worth it, and I'm glad I did it, and I would do it again. But if you asked me a couple months after surgery, I would have 100% said no, I won't do it again. I would not have done it again. Now, months later, I can say, yeah, if I went back in time, maybe I would do it again, because I'm actually really happy with the result, even though I can't breathe, and that bothers me a lot. I do feel like, by the way, the fact that I got it is a good example, a good indicator that the old nose did not fit my face like everybody tried to make me feel better and say. And I appreciate that everybody tried to make me feel better and say that, but I didn't feel it then, and I still don't feel it now that my old nose fit my face. I feel like this one does though. There's obviously a list of cons. Recovery stunk. It was worse than people said it would be. My body took forever to come back from it. I still can't breathe. Those I feel like are like in the past. The not being able to breathe, I hope that'll be in the past at some point. The bigger con is like, if inshallah one day I have kids, they might get my old nose, right? And David went through the surgery too, actually, so they might get his old nose. Then I'll feel bad, like both of your parents have a different nose than yours, you know, and that's kind of sad. At least I could look at my dad and be like, oh, I know exactly where I got that from. I'm not the only one in the world with it. Whereas like if I have kids, I feel like they'll maybe feel alone or something like that, or someone online might see my nose and be like, oh, hers is smaller than mine, or better shape than mine, when in reality mine is cosmetically done. You know, that's what I feel bad for, is the people who are gonna feel alone in their natural nose because people like me choose to change it. Last thing, do I recommend it to somebody else? I don't know. I feel like sometimes yes, like sometimes I feel like if there's one thing that you can do that'll make you significantly happier in your life and more confident in your life, do it. If you have the means and you can, sure. But at the same time, I want to very hypocritically say, you probably are stunning the way that you are. It's probably not as bad as you think, right? And it's a hassle to go through it. So don't, if you don't have to. That's what I want to say. But I don't feel like I can fairly say that without being a hypocrite. I would suggest talking to your family or to somebody you love, someone that you respect, someone that can come at you unbiasedly, because it's a tough decision to make on your own. Any surgery is a tough decision to make on your own. You cannot recover by yourself, by the way. The doctor told me I would be fine. I would just need someone with me for the first 24 hours. Not true, I needed somebody with me for at least a full week. I would also consider that if you're considering it. Do you have support for 5 to 7 days, just in case you need it? And your recovery might not be as bad as mine if you decide to do it, but just in case. Anyways, those are, that's everything I wanted to cover today about my nose. I hope it helped you. If you're just curious, I'm not really like a cosmetic surgery person. I can't see myself getting any more done to my face. I don't see myself getting Botox or anything, or really doing anything beyond maintenance skincare, which I don't even have a routine for that. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.